Welcome to True Scary Stories. Today, Sean shares his terrifying experiences, which he believes may be linked to his family's history and the places he's lived. The final events of this tale may even be attached to the military bases he has served on. Now here is Sean's chilling account. In the pitch-black darkness of 2017, Sean was an 18-year-old living with his parents just before he joined the Navy. This was the first time he experienced something sinister and terrifying: sleep paralysis and the infamous hag. It happened one night as he lay in his bedroom. His eyes were wide open, yet he couldn't move a muscle. Only a dim light from the window cut through the shadows of the room. In the darkness, he stared at the foot of his bed. A strange and unsettling green light, reminiscent of toxic waste in a movie, caught his attention. It pulsed with an eerie glow, intensifying as Sean fought to move, to scream, but only a muffled moan escaped his lips. Then, from the heart of that unearthly light, a figure began to take shape. A woman with fingers resting on her mouth, knuckles starkly visible but her fingers hidden in shadow. Her laughter echoed, cold and mocking. Desperately, Sean struggled against the invisible chains that bound him, rocking back and forth until he finally broke free. He jumped up in anger, demanding to know who was in his house, but the woman vanished into the darkness. This was Sean's first encounter with the mysterious hag. Confused and frightened, he chose to keep this haunting experience to himself. His father, a skeptic when it came to ghosts, nonetheless held a deep understanding of the supernatural. Their family had a history of strange events, like the time his cousins played with a Ouija board in the 1980s. They asked the board when they would die, and it chillingly spelled out a date. That very date saw them caught in a horrific car accident, sandwiched between two semis. Since then, his father avoided all talk of the paranormal, fearing what the unseen world might reveal. Despite this, curiosity about their family's ties to the supernatural lingered. Sean's sister had traced their lineage, uncovering whispers of witchcraft woven into their ancestry, a legacy they had never delved into. In 2018, Sean met his future husband, and they soon moved together to Washington. The house they rented was nestled deep within the woods, surrounded by an oppressive silence. It had a large, inviting backyard, yet inside the atmosphere was thick with an unsettling presence. Sean often felt the weight of unseen eyes tracking his every move, the air alive with creaks and whispers. One night, Sean awoke to find a strange white mist seeping from the bathroom. It drifted over his sleeping husband like a ghostly shroud. The mist moved with purpose, winding its way toward Sean, who lay there, wide-eyed, certain he must be dreaming. But the chill was real, and he knew he was awake. Despite his fear, he chose to remain silent, not wanting to disturb his husband. The next morning, Sean recounted the strange encounter to his husband. Determined to protect their home, he visited a local magic shop, seeking guidance and protection. The shopkeeper advised him to get sage for cleansing and a protective crystal to ward off the negative energy. The woman warned Sean about the military bases nearby, places that brewed a dark energy that soldiers often brought home with them. Following her advice, Sean kept the crystal under his pillow and felt a sense of peace return. However, the calm was short-lived. Sean's husband received orders to move to San Francisco, and Sean found himself alone in their apartment for 8 long months during the height of the COVID pandemic. The apartment was a vessel of shadows, filled with a constant sense of dread. It was there that Sean had his second encounter with the hag. This time, he awoke to a blinding white light searing the side of his face. He felt the hag's icy fingers crawl across the bed, her weight pressing down on his chest. The air was filled with a deafening vacuum-like sound, as if the hag was drawing the very soul from his body. Sean lay there paralyzed, unable to scream or fight back, while the hag's hair cascaded over his face, obscuring everything but her ghastly teeth. A misty breath flowed from him to her, leaving him drained and terrified. Time seemed to stretch into eternity before he slipped back into unconsciousness. When he awoke, the experience lingered like a nightmare that refused to fade. He moved the bed, unwilling to sleep near the mirrors that might serve as portals for the spirits he feared. In the oppressive solitude of that apartment, Sean developed a peculiar habit, creating a triangle of pillows over his head as he slept, a feeble attempt to shield himself from the gaze of unseen entities. Later, Sean returned from deployment, moving into new military housing with his husband. At first, the house seemed free of any eerie presence, but it wasn't long before the atmosphere began to change. Sean felt an ominous darkness at the top of the stairs, a presence that seemed to pulse with anger and sadness. Sean wasn't alone in his unease. A close friend, visiting frequently, confided that she too felt watched, especially near the stairs. Her fear was confirmed one night when she slept on the living room couch. She awoke suddenly, feeling as if someone had yanked her forcefully from the recliner. Alone and terrified, she spent the rest of the night with the TV on, waiting for the first light of dawn before fleeing the house. More strange events unfolded as if the house itself were alive with secrets. The doorbell rang inexplicably in the dead of night, setting the dog barking madly. Sean's husband, disregarding the invisible barrier between the living and the dead, opened the door to an empty street, unwittingly inviting something unseen inside. Objects moved on their own, a fly swatter swinging wildly without cause. Sean captured these moments on video, sharing them with friends who joked about ghosts haunting the home. But for Sean, the humor masked a deeper fear, a fear that the presence lurking at the top of the stairs was all too real. The house's dark history soon came to light. Neighbors spoke in hushed tones of a gruesome crime. Just across the courtyard, a man had murdered his wife, hiding her body in a freezer for 2 years. Her spirit, trapped in a cycle of despair, haunted the area, her story echoing through the walls and the minds of those who lived there. Despite the passage of time, Sean could not shake the feeling that the woman's spirit lingered, seeking justice or perhaps solace in her final resting place. Even as he moved away in November 2023, the weight of her presence clung to him,